Hello everyone. I am back, and today I'm going to do a review on something that I never done reviews on before. I am an avid fisherman. I really enjoy it. I go out whenever I can. Lately I've been trying to do a lot more night fishing, but I decided to go ahead and do a review on something I bought that's bug out related, but I bought it more so for me because it's easier to carry around, and that is a telescopic fishing pole. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with all you guys. Telescopic fishing poles, telescoping fishing poles, telescopic fishing poles, collapsible fishing poles, whatever you decide to call them, they have a reputation for being really bad, really cheap, really, they'll break all the time, stuff like that. So most real fishermen don't use them. But I decided to pick up one because I'm not the best at fishing, but I can fairly reliably catch fish that are a decent size, anywhere from 14 to 20 inches, 3 to 4 pounds. Haven't caught a 5-pounder yet, but I think that's because where I fish, I don't fish in an area that would be big enough to have a 5-pound catfish or a 5-pound bass or anything like that. Typically fish around Lake Murray, in the coves and areas like that, and I pretty much catch them to have fun, so I catch and release. I'm never trying to catch that big trophy fish because for me it's not about that. It's just about getting out, having some fun, relaxing, that kind of thing. So I decided that I wanted to get a little bit of a collapsible pole that I could use, just carry out and not have to worry about it getting tangled on tree limbs and stuff as I'm walking out to my fishing spot. So I went ahead and did a whole bunch of research on them, bought a couple of different ones, and this is the one that I decided to keep. It is the Plussino 2.1 meter or 6.8 feet collapsible fishing pole. Now I decided to get this because I wanted to go ahead and use it in my hiking pack, my bug out bag, because it's really small, really light. This entire rig weighs 12 ounces, 12, 13 ounces. It was 12 point something. But the entire rig with the reel weighs about 12 to 13 ounces, so less than a pound. It's not particularly light, but at the same time, it's light enough, and it is a full heavy-duty pole. Now, let me go ahead and go through some of the history I've had with this pole so far. I've had it for a while. I've done quite a bit of fishing with it so far. I've caught a 3-pound and a 4-pound bass off of it. Not any problems whatsoever. Bent fine. The action was good. Didn't feel like the pole was going to break on me, which was a good test for me because most of the fish I catch are somewhere in the area of 2 pounds, like most people. But I caught a couple of good-sized fish on it. Had one 13-pounder, and I know he was a 13-pounder because he pulled out the drag from my reel here. It's an Abu Garcia. It's an Abu Garcia Silvermax, and he pulled out the drag when it was set to 13 pounds. So I know he was a big fish, but he basically whipped out, turned around, came back at the bank, which gave him enough slack to let go of my hook. I was not happy, but it is what it is. Such is the nature of fishing. So I know that the pole can handle a good-sized fish if you know how to fish it correctly, and that means not going like this when you catch the fish, because if you go, you're going to snap the tip off. So if you know how to fight the fish correctly, I would say that this is capable of bringing in probably up to 20-pound fish if you do it correctly. If you don't, if you're a novice fisher or you're one of those people who likes to see the pole bent when you're sitting there doing this number, you'll probably snap the tip off if you catch anything over probably 6 to 8 pounds. That's just my experience with it, based on what I've seen and the fish I've caught and how the pole has reacted with those size fish. I personally tend to hold it like this with this piece extended, and I'll show you guys that when I actually get into the specs and stuff of it. But I like to hold it like this with the tip more towards the water, probably about 10 to 9 o'clock, almost horizontal but not quite there, and that's how I like to fight the fish in. I see a lot of people, especially inexperienced ones, going like this with it, so the pole is bent way down. And if you do that and you catch a big enough fish, it's going to snap the tip off. I did have one where I got it caught on a snag and the tip had bent fairly decently. I was night fishing and I didn't realize just how I was reeling it in, and then it caught that snag, and I was basically just cranking it in, and the pole had bent way down, and I didn't realize it until it had already bent pretty significantly, and I was really concerned it was going to break at that point. So I let off the tension, and pole snapped back up, and I didn't have a problem. But it didn't break, didn't, you know, the eyelets didn't loosen up or anything like that, which is a pretty big deal. So overall build quality of this pole, I think, is really, really good. 10 times better than all the other ones I purchased. I purchased 3 different brands. The other 2, when they showed up, I was like, no. I sent them back. I didn't even take them out and really fish with them. I let my wife fish with one of them, and she likes it, but not good enough in my opinion. So I'm actually going to buy her another one of these exact same ones. Send it all back. They were really bad. So let's go ahead and get into the stats of this one. Basically, it is a carbon fiber rod. They say it's mixed with graphite. My opinion is, if it is, it's very little. I can't really notice the difference. Those of you guys who don't know, graphite is added to a rod like this as a way of making it more sensitive. Telescoping rods have always been notorious for not being very sensitive, and this one is sensitive enough, but not, you know, you're not going to be able to feel every little nibble. So I would say that it has a fairly low graphite content. That's just my opinion on the matter. Now let me go ahead and snap the little cover here off. No, the cover does not cover all the eyelids. Mine just went completely blank. The guides, this cover is purely to keep it from extending on its own and to keep the eyelets from kind of bouncing around back and forth. The eyelets themselves, let me do those first, are very, very nice quality eyelets. Let's see if I can get it to focus for you guys here. They are very, very nice. When I got them in, I was really surprised at just how heavy they were. Compared to what most eyelets are. After the fishing I've done, I thought that this was like painted stainless or painted aluminum or something like that. I didn't think it was actual brass, but it started to weather now, and you can see it's still a little bit shiny. It hasn't gotten that true brass patina on it yet, but let me see if I can show it to you guys here. Come on, focus. There you go. It might actually be brass. Now I'm a little concerned about that because I do use a braided fishing line right here. I just have a 65-pound spider wire. And I am a little bit concerned that the line is going to cut into this because brass isn't exactly known as being a particularly hard metal. But so far, I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't had any nicking, and I haven't had it frame my line. So I'm gonna say that it's a very well-made brass guide. I call them eyes. I don't know why, I just do. But they seem to be really well-made guides. The brass seems to work really well. The line just flies right through them. I haven't had any problems with it, you know, friction or anything like that. Now, if I'm gonna get technical, this is a bait casting reel. For those of you guys who don't know, I prefer bait casters because it's easier for me to put the bait right where I want it. And since I do bank angling, I prefer being able to kind of pitch it down underneath a log or something like that off the bank. And I have a problem doing that with spinning reels. It's just my preference. I like bait casters. But technically speaking, this is kind of like a cross between a bait casting rod and a spinner rod. I know a lot of people had questions about if you could attach a bait caster to this. I have, and it's worked just fine for me. But the eyes on it are a little bit big if you're going to call it a true bait casting reel or bait casting rod. So I'd say it works with either one. Technically speaking, it's probably going to be better suited to a spinning reel, but I haven't had any issues with my bait caster. So let's move on. It is an all aluminum frame. All the metal you see on here, except for this piece in there, seems to be all aluminum. It does have a nice rubber grip right here. It's, well, I wouldn't call it rubber. It's almost like a rubberized foam. It feels really nice in the hand. The grip here, for those of you like me who like to fish with it rested on your forearm, it does extend to give you that extra purchase, which is really good. I like that fact. Sometimes when I'm fishing out and I'm doing some really nice long casts and things like that, I will go ahead and extend the handle out. Just makes it a bit easier for me that way. It has a hook keeper right here. It spins. I don't know why they made it spin, but it is a hook keeper. That's what it's designed to do. They have a little bit of a little plug right here that you can unscrew. I'm not going to because I'm not going to use it. But you can stick some bait up in there if you really want to. In my opinion, you should be bringing a tackle box, not a couple of grubs. So, you know, that's my opinion. If you're going out fishing, go out and do it right. But, so let me go ahead and show you guys how it extends. So there you go. There's the first couple of sections. It does not have an eyelet on this section, which I'm fine with because, like I said, it's kind of designed to be a casting reel type rod. Now there is the logo. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There you go. It is a 30 to 60 grain rod. Now for those of you guys who don't know what that means, essentially it is designed for maximum use, you know, a maximum casting weight of between 30 and 60 grams. Now if you go out and you buy lures and things like that, it should have a gram rating along with the ounce rating. This rod will cast best between 30 and 60 grams. You can use a lighter lure and you can use a heavier lure, but it's going to do the best at those weights. So this is what I would consider a medium fish type rod. This is not going to go out and catch the big things, and it's not going to go out and catch the small ones. It's going to catch the ones that sit right within that keeper range, which for me is what I'm looking for, because I do like to keep some fish every now and then and cook them up on the grill. So for me, that's what I prefer, and the rod falls right within the range that I'm looking for as far as lure weight goes. Now the carbon fiber is really well finished, which is the only one I've ever gotten so far that is well finished. All the other ones, you could feel the carbon fiber. This one feels like an actual solid fishing pole. So if you have a fishing pole at home and you feel it, that finish that it's got on it, that's what this one has too, which I really liked. All of the sections are reinforced with a metal ring to prevent them from cracking. I don't know if you guys can see it, probably not, but the carbon fiber is a decent thickness, because you can actually look down under that ring and you can see the carbon fiber, and it's a good even thickness. So it's not a cheap, really ultra thin carbon fiber. It's got a good steady, you know, a good thick rod basically, which I think is what's kind of leading to its outperforming the other telescoping rods. So let's go ahead and continue to extend it. This is how I like to line it up. Basically I'll extend it out, put my eye right at the one behind it, and pull out the eyelets so that I can see through all of them straight, and I can see that line going all the way through so that all the eyelets are perfectly straight when I'm done. Takes a little bit of time, but you're going out fishing. So the way I look at it, you're kind of going out to have some fun. You're going to be out there for a few hours. Take the time, make sure the eyelets are straight. Okay, there we go. So there's the rod completely extended. This one, like I said, is 6.8 feet. Not a particularly long rod. They do have some that sit more so towards the well, anyway, the sizes go anywhere from 5.9 feet all the way up to 10.8 feet, I believe. The longer rods tend to sell out quickly, so they may or may not have them in stock, so they may or may not show up on the sizing options. But I know they do carry rods that go up to, I think it's 11.8 or 10.8. It's one of those two, over 10 feet. So they have a good complete list of sizes for pretty much anyone and your preferences. But let me go ahead and show you the action. The action on this rod is important. It is an important thing to take into consideration when you are buying a fishing pole. Action matters. Oh, got my line a little twisted there. Okay. So let me go ahead and fix that. There we are. Okay. This is going to be a light to medium action fishing rod, and what that means is if you take the rod and you start bending it, okay, it means that it's going to bend. On the first section, it's going to have most of your bend. Second section is going to have a little bit. You can see it's bending just a little bit. And the third section is going to have almost none. And after the third section, you will have no bend whatsoever in the rest of the rod. What that means is, in my opinion, I prefer medium to light action rods. A lot of people do. For me, it's a general purpose rod. An example would be, I use light action rods when doing bass fishing, light action to medium action. I prefer bass fishing, so that's what I tend to use the most. And I like that because it helps to keep a little bit more pressure on the fish. It has a bit of a stronger action to it, more of a spring-like action to it, in my opinion. Now, everyone is different, and I'm sure someone is going to comment on this telling me a light action rod or a medium action rod is meant to do this, this, and this. That's fine. If you want to use it that way, that's up to you. I personally have a lot of success with medium and light action rods when fishing for bass. It's my preference. Everyone fishes in their own way. All I'm doing in this video is giving you guys my review of this and what I believe its durability to be. And in my opinion, it is a fantastic rod. It collapses down to about 16 inches, 16 or 17 inches. It is easy to collapse. Just grab at the base of each section and pull. Now, the top two may take a little bit more pressure because they fit a little more snugly. So just use two hands like this and it'll slide right down. I have seen a lot of people doing reviews saying, oh, it broke when I tried to do it. I don't know how they were trying to do it. I'm not going to get into an argument about what they were doing wrong or not doing wrong. I wasn't there. I just know that, at least for mine, I have not had any problems collapsing it back down. It has never gotten stuck on me. I really like that. So there you go. That's the actual rod itself. Packs down to about 16 to 17 inches. So it's a pretty short little rod when it's completely collapsed. The eyes are fantastic quality. The reel seat is really good. It holds the reel, at least this reel, nice and snugly. I haven't had any issues with it at all. Nothing's started coming apart on the rod. So I can honestly say that, at least for now, this is my go-to rod when I'm going out fishing. I've pretty much been using it exclusively now for quite some time. I will not be taking this out fishing, and I will explain why. My fishing spot is now gone. Essentially, a bunch of kids showed up and that was that. So I wanted to I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, but if you are taking your kids fishing, I am all for it. By all means, teach them how to fish. I see very few kids fishing now. So I think it's great to have the younger generation out fishing and teaching them how to do it and having them, enjoying it. But teach them proper fishing etiquette. There are some things that you just don't do when you go out fishing, especially if you're fishing around somebody else. My fishing spot is gone now because a bunch of kids and their mother apparently found it, and I went out to go fishing one day and they were there. And they've been there every day for the last 2 weeks. And They are the most inconsiderate people that I've ever met. Their kids, one day I actually got there first that time, and when they showed up after about a half an hour of me being there, they set their sandals less than 4 inches from my tackle, stood about 3 inches from where I was fishing, and started casting out and crossing my line and trying to land their bait exactly where mine was sitting, thinking it was some kind of a challenge and laughing about it. That is so rude. Don't do that. If you're going to teach your kids how to fish, that's fine, but teach them how to do it politely. If you're going to fish where somebody else is fishing, that's cool. Go down the way a little bit. 50 feet. I don't care. But not directly on top of where I'm fishing. And please, don't let them run around screaming and throwing rocks in the water. Okay? That is going to piss off a fisherman more than anything else. Even if they're standing 10 feet away and they're fishing too. If they're polite and they try to stay to their side, most fishermen will not say a word. But as soon as they start running around and going through your tackle box behind your back, there starts to be a problem. And it just, and that's what these kids are doing. So I'm not going out there anymore. I'm going to go out and find a new spot. And when I do find a new spot, I'll go ahead and do a fishing update with this. But it's going to take some time to find a good spot to go out and fish again. And honestly, I have never met a more rude group of fishermen in my life, ever. Normally, the parents at least try to stop their kids from doing that, but this family didn't even attempt. It was like they just sat there smiling, laughing, and giggling, and playing with their kids. And their kids are sitting there throwing rocks in the water, throwing bread in the water, throwing their huge saltwater level leaders in the water with like 4-ounce weights on the end of them, just slapping them in the water. And their dad's telling them, oh, if you slap the water, it'll the fish will be attracted to it and you'll get more fish, and there'll be bigger fish. If the splashes are bigger, you get bigger fish. And I'm sitting there trying to tell him, no, that's not how it works. But he didn't believe me. So that's what I've been dealing with over the last month or so. I haven't been back in about a week and a half to that spot. So it's been about a month since they showed up in total, 3 weeks to a month. And I don't know if they're still out there or not. I haven't even tried to go back, but it's ridiculous. I did try the last day I went out there. I showed up really early in the morning so that I could get some fishing time in before they showed up. My guess is their kids are homeschooled or something. But I got out there at probably 5 a.m. and fished until about 7 or 8, and they showed up. And that whole time I was out there fishing, I was using swimming bait, soft plastic swimmers. I was using rooster tails. I was using every bait under the sun, everything that I owned, and I wasn't getting anything. I got a couple of little nibbles, but that was it. They have essentially ruined that spot. The fish are so skittish now because of all the noise and the commotion and everything else going on over such a long period of time. That spot is completely ruined and will probably be ruined for months. So yeah, there are 4 things that you need to know if you're going to take your kids out fishing and you see somebody else there first. Number 1, don't set up directly next to them. Give space. For 2 reasons. You don't want to cross line with them and get everything all tangled up and then have to spend 10 to 15 minutes untangling everything so you can go back out and keep fishing. Number 2, don't let your kids be rowdy when you're going out fishing. The other people are there because they want to relax. They enjoy it. They want to relax, maybe catch a fish. Having your kids running around laughing and screaming like they're on a playground is not proper for where they are. If they want to do that, do it on a playground. Don't take them out fishing and have them doing that. Number 3, watch them. Make sure they aren't going through other people's stuff. I had them going through my bag and taking my damn my emerald shiners and using them and chucking them out into the water so hard they come popping off the hook, boom, gone, running over and getting another handful of my shiners. No, that's not how it works. So just make sure your kids are actually behaving. And the fourth thing, this goes back towards making sure you're not directly next to somebody, because there is some danger involved in casting a fishing pole to the other person. You know, the guy casting it, he's not going to be hurt by it because he's got maybe a foot worth of lead on it when he throws it out. So he's not anywhere within the risk of getting hit by that hook. But your kids are. And I don't like having to look over my shoulder constantly to check and see where 3 or 4 kids might be to see if I'm going to hook them while I'm trying to throw out my cast. That just gets old very quickly. So yeah, there you go. End rant. So, for those of you guys who are watching this video because you wanted to see a review on this, I will try to find a new spot as quickly as I can, one that has a decent fishing in it, and is a decent fishing spot, and try to do some catches of this. Hopefully with this rod I'll try to see if I can catch some 4, maybe a 5-pound bass, probably more like 3 or 4, and catch on video for you guys so you guys can kind of see more of the capabilities of it, because a 1 or 2 pound fish, most rods are going to handle that, even the really, really cheap ones. But I will do my best to try and find, catch some of the larger ones to give you guys an idea of just how this behaves with some of the larger fish. But there you go, another video, another close-up of the rod. It's a great quality rod. This one ran $23 on Amazon. I didn't buy it with the reel. They do have a reel rod combo and then just the reel, and just the rod, so you can buy them separately. I bought just the rod because I have my own reel. But if you guys want one, the reel that comes with it is pretty good from what I understand. I don't use spinning reels, but from what I understand, it's a good reel. It has no backspin on it. It locks instantly, which is what you're looking for in a lot of reels. Kind of like this one. It doesn't have any play once it stops moving. Supposedly it's pretty much, I'd say, about the same quality as this one based on what I've seen on it. I haven't actually used it, but it seems like a good high quality reel. So if you want a reel and a rod, go ahead and pick up their combo pack. It'll probably end up running you about 50 bucks for both. But if you just want the rod, it'll end up running you, for this one, $23, and it goes up to almost 30 depending on the size of rod you want. My overall review of this is going to be a 5 out of 5. I have not yet found something that's going to break it. I'm sure that the possibility is there if it's misused. This isn't an ugly stick that you can bend into a pretzel. You have to know how to use it or you're going to break it, kind of things. But for those of you guys who know how to use it and have experience fishing, you won't run the risk of breaking this unless you actually try to break it. But that's my opinion. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and have a great night. Bye bye.